So I'm having my say in this conversation about the mass shootings, and everybody's screaming, and everybody is tired. The coaches are tired. The media people are angry. I guess I'll say that. The politicians are doing the thoughts and prayers as they normally do. But I'm gonna ask Americans, like, are we serious though? Because I've come to the painful realization that Americans just don't value life. We don't care. We don't give a fuck about life. I'm gonna have to curse. Can't handle it. Keep it stepping. Americans do not give a fuck about human life. If they did, this problem would have been solved a long time ago. Like that, they kill 14 children and a teacher in a school. You send your kids to go to school, and somebody walks in there and murders them and slaughters them. And this is just business. And this is just another day in America. Tells you everything you need to know about this country, right? And I'm beginning to make my peace. My kids go to school every day, and I'm sure I've come to that realization that if that news was ever to come to me, I'm just like, I guess the only thing I'm gonna get back in return is thoughts and prayers. Because that's it. Republicans, like Democrats, none of them are serious about this. They can talk that talk, but nobody is willing to do what needs to be. I'm gonna give you a couple of scenarios here in a second. And alcohol, alcohol, something that a lot of adults consume. You need to be 21 years old to consume alcohol. There's no reason why an 18-year-old, none, what, not a single reason on this God's green earth why an 18-year-old is in possession of a weapon, personal. If you're in the military, you serve with a military weapon and you keep it right where it needs to be kept. As an 18-year-old, if you're not old enough to drink, because you can you could drive and get drunk and you can't handle your alcohol, you definitely cannot handle a weapon. You don't have the maturity. Let nobody ever tell you anything. But of course, Americans are going to make an excuse because in a constitution that is how many hundred years old, right? Uh, we cannot touch that constitution. It's untouchable. What the constitution says has to be respected. So 18 years old are able to buy guns, but they cannot buy alcohol, right? Next thing, alcohol still. When you drink and you drive, you don't even need to hurt nobody. You could swerve on the line, police pulls you over. I mean, you could be driving okay. A cop just suspects and just says, "Hey, let me just run the tag and see what's happening." And maybe you got a busted tail light, and they pull you over, and you're a rig of alcohol. But you can handle your alcohol. You're driving fine. You're good. You're going home. They're gonna hit you with a DUI. Driving under the influence. Right, they're gonna hit you with a DUI, and that shit is gonna follow you for the rest of your life, cost you thousands and thousands and thousands. And this is okay. Everybody has accepted that this is okay. There's not a single person that says if you're driving under the influence, you're pulled. It's nobody's gonna be sympathetic to you. It's not a single person, right? And worst case scenario, if you're driving under the influence and you have an accident and you kill somebody, that's time. Depending on other variables, but usually everything being equal is time. You are going to do time, right? You're going to go to jail for a period of time. No, if you go so and then they make the rules. They say alcohol. There are dry counties. There are counties where you cannot sell alcohol. There are counties that don't want any form of alcohol. There are rules. You cannot sell alcohol next to a school. You cannot sell alcohol next to a church. There are all these rules governing the product, the alcohol itself. And then there are other rules governing you. You cannot drink and drive. For example, if the cop pulls you over and there's a bottle of alcohol, whiskey, or beer next to you, you could be busted for that. You cannot sell alcohol to minors, right? right? That's a crime for the person who sold the alcohol to the minor. So my point is, there are rules governing the product and the person consuming the product. You get the drift. Come to guns, right? I mean, before we go to the guns again, um, drugs and illicit drugs. There are rules governing. You have Schedule 1, Schedule 2, Schedule 3, Schedule 4. You have narcotics. You have this. You have this. Everything is controlled and regulated. Tylenol. You cannot take this amount of Tylenol because it's going to cost X, Y, and Z. Guns. You cannot touch it. There are no rules on guns. And then there are no rules on the person. Right? Right? So when I see people, we have to do something. We have to regulate guns. We have to regulate guns. And if you don't want to regulate guns, you are sympathetic to the mass murders. It's that simple. That's not. They're not in betweens, right? Republicans who are pro guns and not willing, right, to say, you know what, I am still going to be a legal gun carrying citizens, but we need to regulate guns. Right? Guns kill people. A gun does not sit on the table by itself without a human influence and hurt somebody. Which means if guns are not in the possession of people, guns are they'll be useless. They'll have zero use to anybody. Right? So again, we have the police. And a lot of Republicans brag about the police. Let's take care of the police. Let's honor the police. Let's worship the police and all that crap. If we're gonna do that, then we have to let the police do their jobs. So then there's no point for us to stack our houses with 2 million guns for self-defense if we have the police that's already going to protect us. Now, it's a crazy gun country. We love our guns more than we love our fellow human beings. Okay, I get that. I get that. Without guns, we are not the John Wayne and the Django's. When we're packing our guns, we feel like we're superheroes. We're just badasses. We feel like nobody can tell us nothing because we have that gun right here on us, right? That's the American mentality. The gun makes us powerful. The gun makes us fulfilled. Right? The gun gives us that macho-ness, that strength. Right? That's what makes us Americans when we're able to carry a gun, because without which, we're nothing. Right? If we don't have our sense of guns, we don't have the AKs, the machine guns, the shotguns, or whatever, because I don't even know the different types of guns. That don't even matter. But especially for men, you're not a man if you don't have a gun. Like a woman is not even going to talk to you if you're not. The country folks, if you want to talk to a woman, she wants to know how many guns you have, right? Then the gangsters, you got to show your guns to the ladies so that they'll be like, oh my God, he badass, right? That's dominance. That's the American spirit, right? And that's what they're trying to take away from you, and you're not going to let it happen, irrespective of how many kids are killed. And then you sit and they tell you, you look at the news and they tell you, oh, 14 kids got shot between the ages of 9 and 10 and below. And you're like, yeah, thoughts and prayers, but nobody's touching my gun. That's how insensitive Americans are. And you have the audacity and the nerves to pride yourself as the world's police. You see problems in other countries. You want to go to other countries and solve problems in those countries when you cannot solve the most fundamental problem in your country, gun violence. You cannot solve it. You're unable to solve it. Right? The hypocrisy of this country, the nerve of the politicians to wake up and actually say, if, for example, something like this was to befall one of my kids, I don't want to see a politician come out here and give me any kind of sympathy, because you're a lie. I don't want the news or nobody to be able to come to me because you're a lie, because you're not going to do nothing. You're going to send me thoughts and prayers, which is just like a toilet roll with shit stain on it. Don't mean shit. It's going to be flushed. And that's America for you, right? And when you're outside looking in, it's this amazing country. Everybody's dreaming of America. Everybody thinks it's the greatest country's next to heaven. That's the people from the outside looking in. Those of us inside know that America ain't shit. That's just the truth. You ain't shit. Right. You cannot solve gun violence. And there's going to be another one within the next couple of weeks, within the next week. It's a tradition. Matter of fact, I call it entertainment. Because if you look at both sides of it, really tell you the truth. If you look at both sides, the Republicans like they enjoy this. Republicans love this. This is what spurs the Republicans, right? Because they are going to the NRA for a convention about guns, right? And if they didn't, they would have done. Republicans have never done anything to stop gun violence. So you can't tell me that you don't really like this. This is entertainment for Republicans. On the other hand, on the other hand, Democrats use this as a political thing. As a tool for Democrats to run an election and win. Because an election is here. They're gonna, election is coming up. They're gonna be like, oh God, my goodness. The Republicans don't want to pass any kind of gun violence law. Blah blah blah. We're the ones. We're crying. Stop this. Go up. Stop this. Come down. Oh my God, gun violence. Don't vote for Republicans. Vote for us. But they're not gonna do nothing. Give the Democrats a 100% victory, 100% win, and they're still not going to do nothing about gun violence. This is a business in America. The killing of innocent people in America is a business, right? And the worst of all, are the Republicans. That at the sight of children, you are still talking about your right to gun ownership. And it's like somebody with who has killed somebody because he was drunk. So a drunkard, an alcoholic, kills somebody, and alcoholics are like, yeah, we need more alcohol. We need more people with alcohol, right? We need more drivers because if the other driver was drunk and this other driver too is drunk, both of them probably would just drive on the opposite way and then nothing would happen. That's the logic. That's how that stupid, a good guy with a gun and a bad guy with a gun. That's how stupid that shit sounds. And Republicans like really need to chill with that shit already. Like you really need to fucking chill with that shit. What kind of country? What kind of civilized, what kind of developed country can't solve a problem? What kind of this should be on the level of a national emergency, a crisis, a national crisis that should bring everybody in this country that we have a fundamental problem. That's the level that we need to be at right now. But we're not, because we just don't care. It's a bunch of other 14-year-old kids or 14 kids. It's just another set of kids. They've been dying since the Columbine. We don't care. And they're going to continue dying? Shit. We don't buy our guns and we don't leave live. We don't give a fuck who dead. That's the American spirit. Don't come and talk to me about American exceptionalism, American this, American that. Can you solve gun violence in America? If you cannot, you're not exceptional. That's what exceptionalism means, right? That's what it means. If this does not cause you to stop and think and be like, you know what? At what point as a nation do we realize that? How do other people look at us? Right? At what point do we realize that fundamentally we have a crisis? At what point? How far off the cliff have we gone that the ability for self-consciousness, reflection, we've lost all of that. Right? America does not care. America has never cared. Right? And so when I saw Steve Kerr, he was screaming, he was in emotions. I'm not gonna question his emotion, but in 2 weeks it's gonna be over with. Right? In a couple of days it's gonna be over. He'll be back playing his basketball. Right? The other sports journalists were screaming. They're all screaming, we need to do something. We need to do something now. Why? Because it's kids. It's America, people. The foundation of this country is broken. The core, the soul of this country is absent. It's lost, right? People love guns more than they love humans. People talk about death in this country, shooting another human in this country as if, I don't know, it's practice, target practice. I've always heard that conversation, right? I've always heard how people talk about killing another human being in America. And I've always known that at some point we've lost it. But I didn't say much because I knew the day is going to come. But I know America so well, right? I know America so well. It's going to go away. We're going to give thoughts and prayers. We're going to have all of this anger, all of this emotions. By the end of the day, it's still going to go away. It's just another something that just happened, right? Democrats are going to make a meal of this. Oh my God. Oh my God. Some of Obama even cried. He cried. He cried. And he left 8 years. He didn't do shit. Because banning assault weapons is not the beginning of it. It's a weapon that you possess you have in your possession. It's a weapon that can do damage to another person. It must be regulated. Must. It's not a option of constitution. Fuck that. You have a weapon that can do damage. A doctor that births a child is responsible for that child for almost 18 years because at the time of birth damage could have happened, and if anything happens because of that birth, that doctor is held liable. And you're telling me you're carrying a weapon and all we do is a background check? No, we need to do better than that. As a nation, as a civilized people, we need to do better than that. If you have a weapon and like your driver's license, you should be able to renew that every year. And we should be able to testify that every year or every 2 years, you're still fit to keep that weapon. Now, that's what civilized people do. But you're not civilized. You run your mouth, you act like it, but in fact, you are not. Right? Every year, you should be able to go to the DMV, recertify, train. We make sure that you're fit mentally to have a weapon. Does that mean that would solve all the problems? No, we have driver's license and people still have accidents. It's not going to solve all the problems, but it's going to be a path to solving at least 40 to 50% of the problems, because right now as it stands, we're not solving no problem. Right now as it stands, we are not solving a problem. The mere thought of gun regulation is like throwing gasoline on Republicans. They light up on fire. And this same bunch of hypocrites want to come talk to somebody about they care, they do this, they care about the unborn, they don't want abortion, they do this, they care about that life, but now you don't care about the life that's being slaughtered in your streets, in your cities, in your country. What is the Republican plan of action? Let me tell you, Republicans think arm more people. We need more people with guns. It's always business for them, right? If we need more people with guns, that means that more guns are going to be sold and bought. They don't care. Republicans do not care. And like I said, I am so anti-democrat, they don't care either. They just see the opportunity because Republicans is so stupid, right? And all Democrats do is exploit Republicans. Right. That's it. If Republicans were able to do the right things, Democrats would not exist because they don't serve a purpose either. They're just useless. This country is still a center-right country. That tells you that people are technically not left-leaning. It's a small minority of Americans are left leaning. That's why America is still a center right country. But because Republicans are so stupid, they keep blowing it all the time. That's why Democrats exist. Democrats only exist in those little pockets of spaces left by Republican stupidity, and this is one of them. Because you would not, nobody can understand why the man. If you're going to get a gun and you're an upright citizen, you are going to do what's right. Should should everybody have a gun? No. Should the majority of people that have guns have guns? No. Does that mean by that account, by saying that all gun problems are solved? No, but we're taking a lot of guns that should not be in. Have you, if you ever served jail time, if you've ever done this, I mean, Canada and Australia have laws now that if you've ever abused a woman, you can't come into those countries. If you've ever done any one of those things, you should never have the ability to possess a gun. If you've done time, you can't have a gun. If you can't vote, you can't own a gun. But is that true? Are there people who cannot vote that own guns? Now, let's make the laws that if we define you with a gun and you're not supposed to have a gun, you go away for a long time. And let's see how many people are going to have the will to possess a gun. Now, if you sell a gun, right, because a gun should be registered to the seller and everything. If you sell a gun to somebody who is not supposed to have a gun, you yourself, you're going to go 10 years, 15 years. Now, let's see if sellers are going to be willing to risk that. If you trade illegally in arms and you're found, right, you're going to go 20, 25 years, 30, 40 years. Let's find out if that's not going to push most people to not want to do that. You cannot regulate guns in Illinois when every state around Illinois is a free buffet for guns. You cannot regulate guns in New York when every state around New York is a free buffet for guns. Don't make no sense. But Democrats do it because they're stupid too, right? So, for example, everybody's going to call, oh, gun regulation in Chicago. Yes, all the neighbors, Indiana, Wisconsin, every other Republican state around that state, free buffet. So what do I care? If I need a gun, I just go next door, pick it up, come back, do what I need to do, and throw it in the ocean. After all, we're regulated. We need to have a national regulation. That's what we need to have. Right? You cannot carry a gun and cross another state without pre-authorization. There's regulation in this country for everything. So we're not reinventing the wheel, right? It's not something that somebody's recreating. We're just as a nature maturing to the fact that at some point the system that we currently have is not working because again, Democrats and Republicans, Democrats are going to be scared. They cannot touch people's guns. They're going to, oh, we're going to ban assault rifles. Because if I have a shotgun and I go into a store, I can't kill 6 people before they kill me. One person killed to gun violence is one person too many. What's the number? Why is it that it's the number that matters to you guys? If I take a shotgun with 1 bullet and I go into a store and I shoot somebody, that's one person too many, and the country should be outraged. Everybody should be pissed. But in a gun-loving country like America, in a country where gun comes first before anything else, gun, sex, and then religion, Jesus Christ, and everything else, right? In a country like this, you're speaking to the wind. The people don't care about humanity. I remember when Michael Vick had the issue with the dogs. Man, you should have seen how America stood up and everybody was, oh my God, dogs and this and that and this. And the man went to jail for 2 years and he should not never play in the NFL. Imagine that kind of energy. If we had that kind of energy when kids are killed, man, just imagine it for a second. But nobody cares. Nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to have a conversation. I've said this, and I'm going to say it again. The day that a killer, one of these nut jobs, are going to go out to a dog shelter, a home animal shelter, and slaughter all of those animals with a gun, that's the day America is going to fix gun violence. Until then, it's just thoughts and prayers, y'all.